Welcome, everybody, to your EA recap of E3 2016. Now, the hilarious thing that EA's done, Matt, and what I love that EA's done, they're like, we're not going to do a conference. We're not going to pay to show up there. However, I've heard that it costs millions of dollars, like literally millions of dollars
I'm sure.
to be at E3. And they're genius. They're like, nah, we're not paying that. We're going to have our own conference, and everyone's going to cover it because we're just going to do it 6 hours before you start.
Yep.
Genius. And actually, we'll get to that later on. How many other times EA games get mentioned in other conferences? So first off, EA, probably so far the most boring conference out of them. People not too overwhelmed by it. The Battlefield 1 trailer, I mean, we've already seen everything with the reveal. I know they had a train, and they had some celebrities coming through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you watch the celebrities on that wooden carpet they had?
Yeah. I watched a bit of that. It was a little awkward.
Very.
I'm not familiar with the guy who was kind of greeting everybody. I know
He's done some other EA and DICE stuff. I think he was talking in the Battlefield 1. Super obnoxious.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird trying to watch him interact and be really cool with all these hip hop stars and actors and
Did
and
you see
red
the
carpet
moment where
personalities.
he started going into I guess he was trying to impersonate like a black guy and then realized what he was doing? There were a lot of tall guys coming
Right.
through, and then someone short came by and he starts going, he's like, "Oh, finally a short guy, so I don't have to be looking on down." And then he realized what he was saying and he goes, "Ha, we're having fun." And then quickly changed the topic. He was a guy that was just wasn't that funny? Kind
Yeah.
of knowledgeable about games, I guess. It just wasn't needed. Like, it was so cringeworthy. I actually wrote up an article for 90skid.com about how I hate the way they cover games now. And I realized, when I got to the end of the article, I realized it's because it's not for you and me. You and me, they know they have us. We will always give them money year after year because we like playing video games. This is for that random person who watches the Super Bowl, doesn't watch football the whole year, but watches the Super Bowl and maybe goes, "Oh, maybe I'll try watching football." That's what it is. It's to get new people in. So they bring in Zac Efron,
Yeah.
who
Who looked really high. Him and Jamie Foxx, I think they definitely finished a blunt right before they walked up.
yeah, they tried to make a bit of a joke about it, and then it was very obvious that they were stoned.
I even they showed Snoop Dogg when he was playing Battlefield 1. He just had a spliff hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah,
Like it was no big deal. I mean, it was in a room full of people just sitting there smoking.
his line though, the teamwork make the dream work.
Right.
They should have him host a lot of things. Actually, I think it'd be
Actually,
pretty
yeah.
good. So yeah, they're bringing out a bunch of celebrities, and then they showed some more Battlefield One. I liked the idea of showing Battlefield One, but I would have rather have seen like an exhibition between two really good, say like MLG teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like people that gamers are excited to watch. But again, they're going for the casual audience. So did they bring the casual audience in? The more we watch this, like put people on stage that don't like being on stage, developers, and like just and feel bad for them. It's like I remember when I was in high school, people that generally tended towards games didn't want to have a lot of attention. They didn't
Right.
want to be the center of attention. And it reminded me of like watching people in high school that had to go up and do a presentation. You just felt bad for them the entire time.
Yeah.
And it sets the bar so low that when the trailer comes out, you're like, oh, this is even better than I thought. But it's definitely, if you're trying to hype people up, watching people crash and burn is not fun. But enough about the philosophy of it. What did we actually see besides Battlefield? We saw some Star Wars stuff. Boy, they love their Star Wars. The Amy Hennig game made by Visceral. This looks really exciting, and they showed just a sliver of it. A player, a character walking out from a house,
Yeah.
seeing this Star Wars world, hot and sandy, Star Destroyers, and you get they feel that it's going to be this kind of gritty, vibey first-person adventure. Could he be a bounty hunter? Probably not. Is he a smuggler? Maybe. Amy Hennig of Uncharted fame, Naughty Dog fame. So people are excited about that, and they keep saying how they want to tell an authentic story. So I've been
Mm.
searching around. I'm not sure whether that means it's going to be canon or not.
I bet
But
it would be.
but I think if you can bring, I mean, what Amy Hennig has done with Naughty Dog into Star Wars and go for that gritty environment, if EA is not going to give us any single player with Battlefront, at least we have this.
Yeah, and we have Respawn's going to be working on some kind of crazy, mysterious third-person action Star Wars game as well. So they have a lot going on. Obviously, they showed up in a big way with Titanfall 2, and I think as far as the EA conference went, that was probably the star of the show. Battlefield 1 was what everybody wanted to be blown away by, and we did get after the show, after the fact, we got that 64 player mashup, and it was kind of goofy, but that was a good look at the game. But Titanfall 2, it was short and sweet, but what little glimpses they gave us of that game looked really, really cool. And the grappling hook was something that we thought, every game now has some kind of grappling hook in some way, shape, or form, but it looked really great. And it was at the very end of the trailer, he ejected out of his Titan, flew up in the air, and then there was another pilot just kind of parallel flying up, and he grapple hooked that guy and just brought him in for a drop kick in midair. So that was really cool. And the pilots now are more than just, it used to, in the first Titanfall, you kind of, the pilots obviously running gunning and you're shooting other pilots, but the action really kicked off when you called down a Titan and got into your mech suit and really took off. But it looks like they've given the pilots more abilities now. I saw some kind of like gravity grenade that he threw out and sucked in a bunch of people. And I don't know. It looks like they took everything that was great about the first game and just kind of cranked it up to 11. And it looks great. Everybody came away from that conference talking about Titanfall 2, really. I was like, Battlefield 1 was almost kind of like an afternote. And then, of course, like FIFA and Madden, nobody really cares. I didn't care. Titanfall 2 looked great. Did you happen to see the footage for that? Or is that something you had your eye on? I know you're not an Xbox One gamer, so me neither. I didn't play the first Titanfall, but this is something I'll have my eye on for sure.
Before I had bought an Xbox or a PS4, made my decision. Titanfall was definitely that one up in the air that was they were hinting at. Oh, it's gonna be powered by the cloud. This is something that PS4 could never
Right.
dream of doing, and it was a pretty great experience. One that didn't have a lot of life, and people wanted that single player, and now they're giving it to you, and it looks like a heck of a lot of fun. And yeah, you're right. Battlefield has just had so much attention that Titanfall is just kind of coming from the side, really, and I think it'll surprise a lot of people. And yeah, it could be. I think it's going to be really good. We see a lot of sequels to games. Um, I think sequels for games are better than sequels for movies because in a game you have to build the foundation of it first, and then the sequel you can get to everything you couldn't put in the last time. And I think we're going to see that with the second South Park game. I think it's going to be fantastic. We saw that with like Assassin's Creed 2, and I think that Titanfall 2 is really going to benefit from it. So.
Yeah.
Then we saw Mass Effect Andromeda. Not really much there, just a tiny little teaser. The visual style looks quite a lot different than the previous Mass Effect games. Uh, Almost had me worried. Like, what are they doing here? This
Well,
looks,
it's they. I think they switched engines. They're using Frostbite now.
yeah,
Like everything else, like every other game. I guess EA probably signed a huge because I know FIFA is powered by Frostbite now as well. So they must have signed some kind of big contract. And
yeah. It looks fantastic, and the Mass
yeah,
Effect games have always looked really great. And there's been quite a bit of time between, this one and the last, and they've taken a long time to work on it. So, but it's the fourth in the series. They know what they're doing. It doesn't really feel like a necessary game, but I'm still up for another sci-fi RPG. If they're not going to put out another Knights of the Old Republic Star Wars RPG in this format, I'll be happy to have Mass Effect do
hmm
that for me. They started talking about some indie games and the initiatives. Fee
yeah,
coming out is going to be the successor in a way to what they did with Yarny and Unravel, a brilliant looking game, and a game that the '90s kid himself, Lachlan, did a let's play of on our channel.
that's right.
I like that they're doing that. That they're just focusing on these indie games
Yeah,
and then if they throw a fraction of the budget that they put into a AAA game into something like that, they can make something pretty outstanding. I mean, Unravel was gorgeous
yeah.
and a really nice idea and something you wouldn't expect to see from EA. It looked like a Nintendo game, really.
hmm
So to see EA focusing on this and keep putting that out is nice. I think it's a smart move on their part. So overall, that was the EA conference. Nothing really great. We're gonna see a lot more Star Wars. Do you think, Matt, you could ever get Star Wars game fatigue?
No, I mean, just because I haven't really been participating lately, and I didn't play Star Wars Battlefront, and the Old Republic wasn't something that I dove into. Although I am intrigued by the. If I were going to play a Star Wars game right now, it'd probably be the Old Republic. There's not a whole lot tempting me to buy Battlefront, really. I mean, unless they just came out with some crazy expansion that added a single player mode or something, and like just tons of multiplayer maps. I mean, that's borderline sequel sounds like, but yeah, I can't get enough right now. I mean, I'm waiting for the next movie. I'm
Yeah.
really happy now that they're on a yearly schedule, and I'm hoping that they do try to bring everything in together and all these extra stories from these other studios will be canon stories, and that kind of like they're doing with the Marvel universe. I hope we just have this huge, expansive Star Wars universe that spans graphic novels and movies and games, and that everything kind of ties together, and that there's this creative common thread that runs through all of it for the fans of the series and the franchise. So I'm honestly I'm really excited about that. I'm still waiting to get sucked in. So far, I'm far from it. I'm not fatigued. I'm ready to dive in head first. I'm just waiting for that first game to really do it for me.
Yeah, with Disney at the helm and what they've done with Marvel, and I think it's in good hands, and we're going to be getting a lot of it. So,
Yeah.
well, that was EA. Stay tuned. We're going to have some videos covering every E3 conference. Thanks for watching. See you next time.